I'm Catherine O'Hare with MARR, and I'm the Chief Compliance Officer and the Vice President. Most of you have met me in the past. I would like to introduce Mr. Van Treese today. He's going to start off with some updates.
Yeah, hi, Catherine. Jeff Van Treese. Three things today wanted to talk about. First, good news. After working for a couple of years, the National Association of Recovery Residences, MARR, teamed up with ASAM, the American Society for Addiction Medicine, and recovery housing is now included within the ASAM continuum of care. So they recognize that recovery support services have a place in the continuum of care that is envisioned under the ORASC vision of what ASAM is trying to do. So I thought that was great news. It's something that our national affiliate has done. If you ever have a chance to talk to Beth Sanders, thank her for doing that. That gives us a ton of authority in the addiction space to say that we are now formally recognized as a recovery support services. Second thing is MISHDA, the state of Michigan, has gotten their recovery housing grant finally done. That came out yesterday. It's on the MARR website. Bottom line with it, it's basically $300,000 per operator. It's for up to $300,000 per operator. It is for new beds, so you can't use it to pay for existing beds or to do anything with existing beds. It has to be new beds. There are rental rates that are approved, and they run from it's a county by county basis. It's an attachment to the grant application. So you can see what county you're in, but it's basically going to get you from $1,100 if you live in the UP to about $1,900 per month for a 3-bedroom. And it's more for 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, etc. So it's a real practical thing. 5% of the grant funding can be used for administration costs. If anybody has any interest in that at all, I'd really suggest that you go on the website and that you register for next Tuesday's call with MISHDA. The lady there is named Nicole Beagle, and she's going to have a webinar next Tuesday on the scope of the application and to answer any questions you may have regarding that. And I know just from looking at it, there's some questions that I have regarding any audit requirements. But this is going to be your opportunity to ask for funding. The funding is going to have to be spent over 2 years. And you're going to have to spend 30% of it in the next 6 months or so. Preference is going to be given to existing operators. And one of the requirements is that all of the new homes have MARR certification. So that is something that you'll also find in the state of Michigan recently announced, and it's in the form of instructions to the PIHPs, that all state or federal funding in the state of Michigan, except for
PA2.
Yeah, PA2 funding can only go to a MARR certified recovery residence. So I think that's great news. The third thing is that I put this out for planning purposes. The fee for the inspection of recovery residences per location has been $300 per year. That's going to be increased starting January 1st of 2025. So not until next year, but that's going to be increased to $500. So that's going to go from whatever your existing rate is, whether it's 300 or you've been grandfathered in at a lower rate, it's now going to go to $500 per location of 16 beds or less. Be more for 17 beds or higher. But the majority of the residences are 16 beds or less. So going forward, that's something you want to plan to put in your budget. Depending upon what PIHP services your area. I know some of them, Detroit in particular, pays for the MARR certification registration fee. So there's no additional new cost to you, but it's something that you want to plan for in your budget. So that's the story from the top of the heap there. Any questions anybody have? If not, I hopefully will see you all next Tuesday during Nicole Beagle's meeting about the grant funding and the criteria for that.
Now, everyone,
Is there an email that's going out that has the webinar information, or how are we gonna know what the information is?
I'm gonna put it on my post-meeting follow-up email that I send out to everybody, but it is also on our website. It's under the grant funding / PHIP tab. So you'll all receive it after this meeting though. I'll add it to it.
okay. Wally, want to introduce yourself and talk about any updates?
Catherine, thanks. My name is Wally Slatinsky, and I am working with outreach with MARR. You know, I want to thank everybody who's participated in that financial survey that we sent out to all of you. Unfortunately, unfortunately, but the survey was moderately successful. Here in the state of Michigan, we had 31% of our providers actually completed the survey. That is statistically viable. With all of the other states in the country who have completed this survey, the results have been between 25 and 40%. So we're at the we're marginally successul. We're at the lower end of that spectrum, and we were hoping for much larger and much more participation on the part of all the providers, because the data that's being collected in the survey is really going to help us an awful lot in influencing the opportunity for better funding in our conversations with the state. So again, I want to thank everybody who has participated in that, but there will be another email going out in a couple of days just to remind people about this survey. We would sure like to up that statistic and get it up a little bit higher here in the state of Michigan. And you know, it's much better when we talk to the state and they say, well, you know, the data came from how many people, you know, and say, well, 31%. That's not really all that great. Statistically, it's minimally okay in terms of using that data and having it be meaningful, but we sure would like to have a lot more participation to help us again in speaking with the state in terms of trying to get better funding for recovery residences. So in that regard, again, I thank you all very much. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat. That you'll be receiving another email with the information on the survey sometime this week.
Who's the email coming from so they can check their spam as well, Wally? Because this affects all of you. So I mean,
Well,
even if you don't participate, hopefully you will participate, but you're all going to benefit in this. So please have a voice. This is your opportunity.
so far the email
Yeah,
has been coming from me because I've been I sent out the initial email and then I sent out the follow-up when they reminded me to. So
yeah,
it would be coming from me.
It'll probably be coming from Kayla, which will be from MARR, but it may also, for some reason, show up as the Fletcher Group. I don't know, but Fletcher Group out of well, they're kind of scattered around, but I think they're mainly out of West Virginia. But But it's interesting because there are a number of states that are all affiliated with MARR, with NAR, I mean, who are as we are, who are also doing this survey. And it's in addition to helping us an awful lot with our conversations with the state of Michigan, this is also going to benefit MARR's conversations at the national level in Washington. So so it's a nationwide thing, it's an opportunity. So again, it's like anything else, you know, the more information we have, the more sense it makes when we're talking to the government people. So anyway, okay.
Could you
thank
take a second and explain what it's about again, Wally? What the survey is about?
It's a financial viability survey. It takes about 15 minutes to take the survey, so it's not that long, and it just asks questions that are more specific to your financial viability. And I know prior to this survey coming out, it was interesting because both Jeff and I had conversation with two operators within a period of about a week, and they both made a statement that without outside donations and any kind of outside funding coming in, other than what they were getting paid by the state for doing, you know, room and board and that kind of stuff, that they'd be in the red every single month. And it's that kind of information that we really need to go to the state and say, look, the viability, these people can't make it, you know, they can't make it. And we need to get that rate increased. We really need to get it increased. And we've been pushing it. And I know it's a little bit better than it was 3 or 4 years ago, but it's still not enough. So anyway.
Also, if
That's
anyone,
absolutely right. It's not enough. B, the only way that we're going to be able as a team to get the evidence to show that we need more funding is to show them the evidence, right? And
Right.
so that survey is going to show that you folks are not making tons of money, that you folks, in fact, probably some of you might have sacrificed raises or salaries or things that were valuable to you to continue on with doing the service that you provide to people. So we talked, Wally and I talked earlier, and I said, well, my normal response is tell people go do 20 more laps until they get it done. But he said, no, that probably doesn't make sense. So I looked at it on a motivational interviewing thing, and I said, okay, guys, you folks want more money? Because if you folks want more money, you need to fill out these surveys so that I can go take it to the state and say, here's why these folks need more money, because they're not making any. So I expect the survey to go up to 100% of everybody that's on this phone call. And if you don't, you might have to run laps at the end of the month.
You know, not to belabor the point too much, but you know, it's been you know, I've been working in this field for a little over 40 years, and most of it has been on the treatment side. But for all those 40 years, it's like it's been the same problem. We've always been underfunded. Everybody's underfunded. But every time we go and try to talk to them about funding, the question is, okay, you know, you guys are telling us that you're doing well and people are getting better and this is a successful operation, and show me the data. Can you prove it? And we've always had a real difficult time because we have not had any way of actually, on a national level anyway, of accumulating data to be able to prove that this is an effective program, it's an effective treatment, it's an effective resource, you know, however you want to describe it. But so this gives us an opportunity to get the kind of data that we need to answer that question. You know, we're not just going in and saying, you know, geez, guys, I mean, these providers are really doing a great job and people are getting well and people are getting better and stuff, and show me, you know. So anyway.
Let me give you another example of that going forward. Rec cap. We now have enough of your operators, your providers, to say to the state of Michigan, here's what we can show based upon the recovery capital index scores. And I don't want to walk on Kelly's presentation too much, but basically, you guys are doing great work. There's a 80% increase in recovery capital plus 80% increase in recovery capital
Wow.
for people that are from day one to the 9-month mark. They're getting 80% better. And if you want to look at the dashboard and say, okay, one of the barriers, all the barriers disappear over that period of time as well. So it's not just anecdotal information. It's not subjective. It's not, well, we think we're doing a good job. We've got evidence now that shows here's the recovery capital. Here's what you folks are doing. They're actually having a real impact in every person's life that goes through your program. And so that's powerful evidence to go in and ask for additional funding for you folks. And that's what I'm planning on doing over the course of the next how many years I got. So
You have at least 10, so
that's what I've been told.
you're not retiring, so just
That's what I've been
FYI.
told.
Oh, my God.
And while you got at least 15, so. So,
Also, the survey was thoroughly discussed at last month's meeting. So if anyone wasn't able to attend or didn't catch up on that meeting, feel free to go and see that on our YouTube channel as well. That actually is talked about by the people that are actually providing the survey. So if you want to go and get more information, that's definitely where you get it also. So.
yeah, that's great information, Kayla. And rolling off that, just to remind everybody, these are mandatory meetings. So if some reason you cannot attend, we get it, life happens. But we want you to go to the MARR site then and look on YouTube, click on YouTube, and then you can watch the meeting that you missed. We have a lot of information that's really important for you to all to know and keep up on things. So Kayla, do you have anything you want to bring up? Any updates? Any new people?
Just a couple of things. First, I wanted to thank everyone. I feel like the last couple of times we've kind of talked about people completing their renewals at least 30 days before they're due, that kind of thing. I feel like that's really been hitting people. I feel like I haven't really had to remind anyone this year about the renewal coming up. I've gotten a lot of renewals ahead of time, and it really makes the process go by faster and easier for us. It gets you on the site review schedule and make sure there's no lapse in your certification. It goes a lot better and a lot smoother. So I applaud everybody for completing their renewals early. Also, I did post a couple of things in the MARR Facebook page recently. I know not everyone is a part of that. We have about 49 members, so probably most of who is on this meeting. But if you didn't see it, that's also where I posted about the meeting for next week that Jeff was talking about, that Zoom meeting, talking about the funding. That message is also on the MARR Facebook forum, along with invitations for the Oakland and Macomb Providers for Providers events. Those events are going to be hosted in March, on March 15th and March 21st. And those are just a really great way to meet people in your community and getting necessary CEUs if you'd like to get those continuing education credits. That's a really good opportunity to do that. So I posted that in the MARR Facebook forum as well. But I'll also add it to the follow-up email. Everything we talked about today and any links that I have or any information that I have, I'll always post in the follow-up email after this meeting. So otherwise, that's pretty much it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or to email me or ask away.
Do we have any new operators?
Just a few new operators and some pending operators. So I'm not sure if there's anyone new on this meeting currently. There might be a couple of people, but.
Well, I see someone, and I would like to give a shout out to David LaFave, the Dawn Farms. They're
David.
finally certified. Yay. And it's been quite the journey, I know. And David took over right in the middle of everything. So congratulations. Certified. Awesome. I wanted to remind everybody too of the UFAM rally. FAM rally, Unite to Face Addiction. It's coming up in May. Every year it's in Lansing. And so we'll go ahead and share that information too, Kayla, okay, on the site.
Yeah, I've been sharing stuff about it on our actual Facebook site, not the forum. But I'll add stuff about it in our post meeting follow-up email and on the website and whatnot as well. That's a great event. If you haven't been to it, it is awesome. There's always an amazing turnout. There's tons of stuff to do. There's live music, there's food, there's a great contacts for everyone. You can meet us and addition like all of you guys, you can meet each other, and it's an awesome event. We look forward to it every year.
Yep, you can get a booth for as little as $100 and have all your programs information out there and promotional stuff. A lot of people have shirts or little giveaway things. But it's your opportunity too to have your voice heard, you know, among other people, other peers that are running homes and running treatment facilities or going through recovery. It's an amazing event. So Kelly Deeren, want to introduce yourself and let us know what updates you have?
Absolutely. So as Catherine said, my name is Kelly Deeren, and I am the project coordinator for RECCAP for the state of Michigan. So to kind of jump off what Jeff was saying, we're working hard together to get him the information he needs to say, show me the money from the state, and that's going very well. We've changed some things in the near future in response to hearing what you guys have to say, listening to your barriers, listening to what's going on day to day in your programs, in an effort to try to support that and still be able to get the information that we so desperately need to be able to provide. So essentially, the program is now you only are required to do the evaluation pieces. Generally, I would meet with you, let you know what's available in the system, and you decide what pieces you would like to use in the system aside from completing evaluations. When I say completing evaluations, let me give you kind of an idea what that looks like. Essentially, you sit down within 72 hours, give or take. We know that things happen, and 72 hours is sometimes 94 hours. But sitting down and just completing one-on-one an evaluation. It doesn't have to be, you know, someone in the administration, better recommended peer recovery coach, certified peer recovery coach. And after they complete that, it is required, or it is due again in 45 days. That's when the client can start taking over for themselves and logging into the portal, completing the evaluations on their own, and you're kind of tracking to make sure that that's completed. Now, there is going to be some folks that are going to need some additional help. So that would have to be addressed on a case by case basis. But essentially, that's the minimum that we're asking right now. That's really opened up some doors for some locations, for example, that already had electronic medical records and had the concern that they didn't want to repeat processes. So that's kind of what we did in response to that, to make sure that we're supporting you guys as much as possible and still getting that information that we need from the state. Something exciting that's happened within the last couple of weeks is one of our PAHP directors and their staff, we've been able to get them logged into the system and get them to a place where they can review the information from their region. So Get Help, who we work in tandem with, have been able to create a filter within the system that the PAHP directors and other assigned staff are able to log in and look at just their region information. So that's been something really exciting as well. And then finally, we're also holding a monthly community of practice. So that is held on the fourth Wednesday at 3 p.m. every month. And that is, we get together with everybody who is working in the system. We want everyone to feel like you're not out there doing the thing yourself. We want you to feel well supported and have avenues for questions. This month, we look forward to Dr. David Best joining us with his best accent to be able to kind of go over some findings that they've been able to find in Virginia, etc., and kind of give you a broader view of where he's been working and what this looks like outside of just the state of Michigan, but nationally as well as internationally. It's a growing program. Everyone's really excited about it. And as Jeff, mentioned, we need those outcomes, and this is one of the ways that we're being able to get those outcomes. So a couple of things I want you to keep in mind. The system's free. There's no charge for you at all to participate. In addition to that, you also are provided a $300 reimbursement per certified location that you will be able to buy a piece of equipment that will be able to be used for I don't know, I'll get some feedback. That'll be able to be used for your program to complete the evaluation. So you have a piece of equipment readily available in this in your location. One final thing, another that I kind of wanted to bring up is in we're kicking off pilot program, I'm calling it, for any of the Region 7 operators. If you guys are familiar with SHAR, they are in their RCO, they are hosting a peer support specialist who is going to complete evaluations for any of the Region 7 operators that need that support. So if you are in Region 7, I do see a couple of folks that I've already spoken with regarding that are in Region 7. If I'm missing you on the call, please give me a shout out, reach out to Paul. There's been multiple emails as well as some phone calls just to kind of explain the program to you. Essentially what that looks like is anyone in Region 7 can give, his name is Paul Leggett, a phone call at SHAR, and he will come right to the home to complete evaluations. So that's kind of to build relationships. You know, once they leave the residential, they'll have the RCO support as well as knowing individuals, knowing the program, knowing the building, a little bit of familiarity before they take that next step, which we feel is really beneficial as well. So that's kind of it for what I had to discuss, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Nothing?
Nothing?
Wow, it must be really clear information today. Nobody has any questions about anything. I have a question. You talked about an APIHP director. Is the
Mhm.
RECCAP system available to all the PIHP directors so they can review everybody?
Absolutely.
Available to
Absolutely. So-
everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had one reach out specifically so far. What they have to do is reach out, and the filter's already been developed. So now that that's taken care of, they'll be able to you know, granularly go down to just their region and see how things are going there specifically.
Great.
Can you tell us which PIP that was?
No.
It is
You have to
yours.
guess. It's yours. Yeah.
It's region 5. And that's and that's
That
so
information's also on our website. If you don't have it, it's the grant funding and PHIPs. All of their contact information is on our website.
Yeah. If I could just add something, Grayson, all of the PHP SUD directors are aware of, they've all got access to the dashboard, and they're all paying a lot of attention to it. And so that is something that just because one PHP director reached out to Kelly, all the PHP directors are aware of what RECCAP is. And I can also tell you from talking to people at the state that RECCAP is been bought into by, that's my air quotes. So I see it going forward through at least 26, 27 budget year for the next 3 or 4 years. And I think it'll just continue after that. I view RECCAP as a standard of the industry. I'm old enough to have practiced law before they had Westlaw. And so I know that, you know, here's the old way of doing it and here's the new way of doing it. And we really didn't have an old way of doing it in the past, but now we're going to go in with the evidence-based, science-based research, university researchers to show that you folks, what we're doing makes all the difference in the world. It shows here's a chronic care model. It's not an acute care model. It's something people are going to need for the rest of their life. And this is the best way of doing it. In addition to that, we're also trying to, MARR rather, is behind trying to have a RECCAP evaluation that's going to be done for RCOs, or recovery community centers. And we're 75% done with the training for that. That's all been funded by the state of Michigan. And that's going to train RCO operators how to use RECCAP and comply with their standards that deal just with recovery community centers, like their standards that deal with recovery residences. And in fact, MARR has certified 2 recovery residences, I'm sorry, RCOs in the state of Michigan, one here in Holland, Building Men for Life, which has about 100 beds as recovery residence operators. Keith Walters, some of you may know him, started the Recovery Community Center, and that's seen over 4,000 people. They're having meetings, 3 different flavors, every day. We've also done one in Detroit, the Shar Academy there,
Echo.
which Kelly was talking about, having the hub and spoke approach to RECAP. And they're doing some really wonderful things. If you ever have a chance to be driving around Grand Avenue, West Grand Avenue in Detroit, take a look at their facility sometime. It's the neighborhoods are in poor shape until you drive about 2 blocks around this one little area and you see, hey, things are different in here. There are people walking around on the sidewalks and it doesn't look like so much violence and the places there. And it's really what's happening is recovery is starting to grow in that neighborhood. They started it off with a middle school building, right? So they have a wonderful building there. They got a bunch of space. They have some wonderful, all they're lacking is money. Literally, that's all they're lacking is money to be ready to go. So I see this 3 years from now as anybody in the state of Michigan, no matter whether they're in recovery residence or they're not in recovery residence, can go in, have the access and help and support for a RECAP evaluation and some plans for recovery going forward that they can check in with a peer recovery coach, or if they need it, they can go in for a recovery residence stay. So that's the end of my speeching today.
No, it's not. Well, the hope is that as we certify more RCOs and RCCs throughout the state, they'll also put something on board like Echo and hire a peer navigator that can also assist those operators in their area as well. So again, just to give a little extra support for operators that are already stretched really thin. A lot of these small mom and pop places, you're working 2 jobs and trying to keep your recovery residents open. And we know you don't have a whole lot of time sometimes. So having this extra assistance is really gonna be beneficial. But please, if you have any questions about any of the RECAP stuff, new stuff is scary, I get it, but reach out to Kelly. They have a great system in place for a lot of great support for everybody. And it's exciting to be a part of this. This is nationwide now. It's really exciting that we're on board for this. A lot of you did already. Thank you so much, but please sign in the chat if you haven't already so we can see who's attending and from what organization you're at. That would be great. And operator of the month this month is It Is Possible. So do we have anyone from It Is Possible on here? They're from Milford County and city of Milford, and they're just beautiful, beautiful homes. There's Lillian.
That would be me. Hi, sorry, this computer's been a little weird, so I'm doing what I can.
Lillian, can you tell us a little bit about It Is Possible?
Yeah, so it is possible. I wish I had like the exact years. I know we've been around for a really long time. I started working here in 2019. I took over the housing department right around like 2022, getting into 2023. So this was actually, this year was my first MARR recertification that I did kind of all by myself. So that was very exciting. We are a long-term residential recovery home, so ranges from about like a year to 18 months for the guys to go through our program and graduate successfully. We have the different stages of our program. So stage 1 for 90 days minimum, stage 2, 90 days minimum, and then stage 3, 30 days minimum before they can apply for graduation and begin that process. We have the requirements of our program, which are their meetings weekly, working with the sponsor, maintaining that relationship. They do their full-time employment, minimum 35 hours weekly. A lot of them work within downtown Milford, and it's really close. Everything's really close together, which is really convenient for our guys that don't have transportation or are still working on trying to get their licenses back and stuff. So we have a full team of therapists here. We also have an in-office psychiatrist. He primarily works with our Blue Cross Blue Shield and Blue Care Network clients, but he can see Medicaid clients as well as like a self-pay thing. We typically branch out and reach out to psychiatrists that are in network with their Medicaid most of the time, which tends to be in like Farmington Hills, which is one of the closest referrals we've been able to locate. So they have case management services that they do in addition to their therapy. We offer the meditation yoga classes 4 times a week. We also have a lot of activities that we do in the summertime. We try to do like camping trips, kayaking and canoe trips. One of our houses is Caroline, and it's located on a couple of acres of property. So they have a lot of backyard and like acre access that they can go out to. As well as like taking out the canoes and the kayaks as long as they sign them out and stuff. So, yeah, anything that I'm missing?
Well, I've always been impressed with your homes, and the one thing, as my late husband and I ran sober living homes, and we were always trying to find like furniture at Goodwill, or, you know, somebody could donate stuff, you know, because it can get expensive to get that kind of stuff. And a lot of times people will trash your stuff, you know, and when I went to It Is Possible, I'm like, oh my gosh, this furniture was beautiful. They have, Elizabeth would purposely go look for antique dressers and, you know, different things, really beautiful things that you'd have in your
Yes.
home. You
We
know?
actually have a guy that we use that he'll get us like the antique dressers, and he keeps like a warehouse of them.
Yeah.
We try to keep some extras in our garage as well, but she's really big on like the antique dressers, making sure they all match, but that they're all unique.
But
And
yeah, it's just beautiful and homey, and I've always been really impressed. And I'm like, aren't you worried that somebody's gonna like trash this? Or she's like, no, you've never had issues with it. But it's really nice to go in and see, and that's what we look for, you know, when you walk into a place. Is it welcoming? Is it a home-like environment? You know, and what I do is I look at it and, you know, is this a place where I would feel comfortable staying, or a family member staying? You know, and one of your homes kind of reminds me of my grandma's house, kind of, you know, it's just warm and welcoming. You got knickknacks.
that's probably our Clinton house. It's one of our smaller ones, but it's
Yeah.
it's really homey. And then we've got like all the different like pictures on the walls. We've got fireplaces in most of the homes. They don't use them, but they look really nice, and they kind of give you the cozy feel, you know.
Yeah.
Caroline personally is my favorite because no matter kind of which window you're looking out at, you can kind of see that whole backyard, the river, all of the wildlife that comes out there early in the mornings. I've got a couple of videos on my phone of like 10 to 15 deer just kind of running across the yard. So it's really cool.
The homes are beautiful. They've always impressed me and stuff. And so congratulations. And being
You'll be on
operator
our
of the month. Keep up the good work.
Will do.
Does anyone have any questions on anything we've discussed so far? This meeting is for you guys, so please, if you have anything you want to talk about or anything, you know, want to bring up anything we've already mentioned. Kayla asked me to talk about insurance. We get a lot of questions about insurance, especially with new operators. They're not sure where to go, or their current insurance company has no idea what a recovery residence is. So there's that situation. We also have situations where a lot of operators you own your homes, but then you want to lease your home like to your organization, to your recovery residents. And what some operators have done unsuccessfully, and I hope that nobody is doing it currently, what they're doing is they're trying to lease it, have it look like under the insurance agency, like you're a landlord and the people that live in your home are tenants. And that's not true. That's not what it is at all. You can't do that. Your recovery residence, as an owner, you need to have your homeowners insurance, but as the recovery residence, it needs to still be commercial general liability. So you still need to make sure you can lease it to your organization. So like you're the landlord to your organization, but you have to make sure that your insurance company knows that it's a business. So otherwise, if you fail to do that, you may not be protected under the insurance if you don't have it listed correctly. So there's a few different ones that operators have used in the past that have been very helpful and maybe have helped give them lower rates. One that I've been told a lot about is a company called Shoreline Insurance. They're actually broker, and you contact them and they know what recovery residences are. And I was paying $1,200 a year at one time when we were running sober living homes, and they got me down to $400 a year, which was amazing. But again, make sure that when you talk to your insurance company, let them know if you provide transportation, let them know if you have professional people working with you. So that's professional liability insurance, extra things that you'll need. So it's just really important. Ask questions. If you don't know for sure what you're covered or what's covered with your organization, make sure you reach out to your insurance agent. If you, like I said, we've given Shoreline Insurance. They're located out of Muskegon. We've given their name to several operators, and they've been very helpful for them. So, does anyone have any questions about insurance or any
good recommendations? Like if you don't
any
use Shoreline, but
recommendations? Yeah, that you work
another
with.
great one. Yeah, definitely put it in the chat or talk about it. That's definitely one of the biggest questions we get asked is what insurance company do I use? Do you have any recommendations? That kind of thing. And
I've got some thoughts.
Uh-oh.
One would be, and this will follow up into the 2023 MARR recordings for our best practices conference we had in at the Henry Hotel in Dearborn last October, September, October. Yeah, it was October. Anyway, that is now supposed to be put onto virtual recordings, which should be available sometime in the next 30 days to all MARR certified recovery residence operators, all the PHP directors for free. So there's no additional cost for that. One of the things I might suggest, if you have any questions about insurance, is look at the seminar that was put on by a guy out of Florida that dealt with nothing but here's the appropriate levels of insurance you need. Bottom line is a homeowner's policy doesn't give you any insurance, and if you get a lawsuit based upon things that are not covered by that policy, you're going to find that you're going to have to pay for the lawyer out of pocket, which is not going to be good. And so what you want to do is make sure you have adequate insurance coverage. I'm going to be working with somebody who's a commercial insurance broker here in Michigan to come and talk maybe in the next 2 or 3 months about here's what they can offer. But essentially you want to make sure you got the right insurance coverage that's only written, I think, by two insurance company underwriters in the United States. So you want to make sure that you have the particular flavor of insurance that's going to cover the risks involved, and that you're not simply saying, I got a homeowner's policy, so I'm insured, right? Because you're not. If you're operating a recovery residence and you're relying upon a homeowner's policy, you could have some real problems. And so you don't want to do that.
And I could kind of, since we're speaking about insurance, that does tingle my brain of something I went through about a month or two ago. I've been, I have all the standard insurance. I have property insurance and general liability insurance. And there's even a section for if one of my employees happens to be driving a car with a resident in it. And for years, it's worked out fine. And everyone has bought into it when I sent it to the CMHs and when I sent it to MARR, everything's been fine. But I found that I believe I work with so many CMHs, I might be wrong, but I think it was Health West, which covers Muskegon County area. They were going through an audit through Lara or the Michigan State, and that state audit forced Health West to have me change my insurance policy. So they wanted property insurance, general liability insurance, but they wanted me to add professional liability insurance.
Even though you don't have any professional.
Yep, I explained that to the auditor, and the contract manager for the CMH explained it. But apparently, because as operators, even though we don't provide counseling, if we, and this is our theory of what they're trying to get covered. It's not proven because the state auditors were being very vague, other than you got to do this or there's going to be a problem. But even as operators, we still give out instructions like you have to follow these directions or we'll kick you out. And what happens if someone gets kicked out, then they OD in some hotel room, and it comes back, their family comes back on us as well. You, as people in power, kicked my son out and now he just OD. So supposedly the insurance agency said if some kind of lawsuit like that happened, general liability wouldn't cover it, but professional liability insurance would. And so it's a weird oddball thing, but it just happened to me for the first time in 17 years, 2 months ago.
Well, there's general liability and then there's commercial general liability. We recovery residences need commercial general liability. Go ahead, Jeff.
I think what Preston is talking about, I just ran into this 2 weeks ago. Looking at an operator, and I was looking at their policy and said, what do you have this for? And it was professional, dealt for people like they had a clinical license. The Lara has said, oh, you're practicing so-and-so. And that's what they were requiring. And the rationale for it had nothing to do with we're going to protect you for more coverage. It was because the entity had employed peer recovery coaches, not licensed by anybody. But they said, oh, that peer recovery coach, that looks, smells, and tastes too much like somebody who might be a professional. And so we're just going to require it. But the fact that the cost of that was close to being prohibitive for the entity to say, well, maybe I just need to get rid of my peer recovery coaches because I can't afford them. I can't afford the cost of insurance for them. Well, it's one thing, if you're charging physicians rates to have coverage, but it's another thing if you're trying to run a recovery residence and you got some peer recovery coaches, half of them are volunteers and half of them are getting $15 an hour, right? So you're not, there's no extra money to pay for that type of insurance. That'll be an ongoing issue, Preston. It would be good if I could reach out to you sometime in the next week or two and talk to you about what the specifics about that, so I could go talk to, that's the same lady at Health West, right?
Yeah. There's a bunch of email chains, so at some point, I could probably forward some stuff onto you, so you have contacts and people involved.
Yeah, because it's going to be a common issue, I think, going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was interesting. Because I specifically said, we don't do drug management, we don't do drug prescriptions, we don't do. There was one about, well, if you manage your residents' funds, then there's some other insurance for that. And I said, we don't manage anyone's personal funds. I went down a whole list of what we don't do, and we couldn't get the person to budge. But yeah, I'll send some more stuff to Jeff so we can get clarification for future.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Thanks for bringing that up, Preston.
Yeah, what was that cost? What was that cost?
I believe it's going. I believe. Well, I did like a prorated amount because I'm in the middle of my insurance cycle, but I believe for a year it's going to increase my policy by $1,200.
Oh.
So yeah, well, an extra 100 a month. And I'm going with it now, but I don't know why I didn't think about it, but it's a good idea for me to talk with Jeff to find out, is it something temporary I should do, or is it something I should keep permanent? But for now, I just got it set up and keep them happy for now until it's worth fighting it.
I think the best way to deal with it is to reach out to the right commercial insurance provider, agent that says, here's what's available by the underwriters, then match what's available by the underwriters at the lowest cost to whatever the requirements are by the people setting the requirements. So we'll work on it.
Yeah, it'd be nice if the state wants that, at least at a minimum, if they could get very detailed of what is the minimum that they're looking for, instead of just a blanket statement of professional liability insurance. Yeah, I guess it'll be a working process.
Well, it's February. This is also something I would recommend
March.
you talk to yours. Oh, it is March. Oh my gosh. All day I was thinking February. Sorry about that. Anyway, it's March, but it's still early enough to reach out to whoever you contract with, your local CMHs, your PIHPs, and make sure that they're aware of these additional charges as well. See if this is something that you could work into the finances with your budget to see if that's something that they can assist in covering, because it's something that you have to have. It protects them too, because they all want to be listed as additional insured on your insurance policy. And if you don't have the correct insurance policy, they could get sued as well, same as MARR. This is, we have to be listed as additional insured. So we all have an interest in this. And, but I think it's important that you make sure that you're keeping your communication open and letting them know what exactly is going on, and what's being expected, so they can see what kind of hardship things may be causing you. Anybody have any questions about that, or any comments about what's going on with their insurance policy?
Yeah, I do real quick. I wanted to add that again, I just think it's ultimately important that when these kind of things come up, that you let MARR know about it. So we can look into it, because a lot of times in my career, I've seen so many times where somebody creates something at the state level for some reason or another that nobody knows what the reason is or what kind of information that they have that they're basing their decision on. And we can talk to them and help to influence that decision and make sure that they have the appropriate information, the right information. So please, when stuff like this comes up, just let somebody at MARR know about it, so we can take a look at it and see if there's any way we can help to influence that that way.
Thank you.
You don't have to just lay down, guys, and just accept it, because it's sometimes we have to fight for it, for what's right. So anyway.
When we were talking about this, my mind automatically went to other things that sometimes cities or areas will force on recovery residences, like a sprinkler system, for example. There's an operator in Battle Creek area that the city would not allow her to open her homes unless she put in a sprinkler system. And you're talking about $30,000 and it's a single family home. You shouldn't need that, but there's just a lot of things, and you got to push back, you got to fight. It's just, those are required in adult foster care homes and schools and that kind of stuff. But these are single family, these are homes. These are protected by the Fair Housing Act. They're not supposed to, I don't have a sprinkler system in my house. I don't know how many of you do, but it's just not necessary. So keep the communication open so we can help where we can. You have something you wanted to say, Jeff?
No, other than there are a few other states. New Hampshire is one that comes to mind, where the state fire marshal has gotten involved, and there were successful challenges to a requirement that recovery residences they said we need to have sprinkler systems, and the decision was reversed. No, you don't need to have sprinkler systems, for all the reasons that Catherine talked about earlier, which is there's no additional need or risk for ambulatory adults with no disability in terms of being able to move around and function. There's no real reason why they would need to have a sprinkler system in their house. Sprinkler systems are meant for non-ambulatory people or commercial buildings where there's a higher risk. So yeah, those are the kind of things where everybody in the MARR group has a common interest in this. And so if I see it happening in Battle Creek or Traverse City or Alpena, it doesn't matter where, let us know about it, because at a minimum, I'd like to assist in the here's where the law is on this issue, to help convince the people in that area, the governmental people trying to put that enforcement in there. It's like, no, you can't do this. You will get sued in federal court and you will lose.
Something else I wanted to talk about, because there's some areas it's still difficult for operators to open homes because of zoning, and zoning is different. Every city has something different going on with their zoning. There was a place in the UP that was having difficulty opening up a recovery residence, and they wouldn't allow them to do it. So, but they allow AFC homes, adult foster care homes. So they opened up as an adult foster care home. Got to jump all through those hoops for adult foster care, but they were able to open up their doors. There's another operator that brought to my attention. There's another city on the side Detroit area, and they were giving them a difficult time too, opening up a recovery residence. So they said, okay, we're opening an Airbnb. And they're like, okay, because they're not, you know, they don't control how many people are coming and going, how many people can be in the house. So that's one I hadn't heard of before. And I just thought I'd share that little tidbit of information. But hopefully one of these days, everyone, all the zoning areas throughout the whole country will know what recovery residences are, and they will open the doors for us. Smile. So, because everybody needs it. Everybody knows somebody that has an issue, and they need it very badly in every community. So we only have a few minutes left. Does anyone have anything they want to share going on with their program?
I just want to say I opened another screen and I'm looking at the gallery for Milford's It Is Possible, and these really are gorgeous.
Thank you.
They are a beautiful little town, and it's just like this little gem. They don't have a contract, though. They don't want to have a contract with anybody. They're doing this on their own and with a MARR certification, and it just it's very impressive. So thank you, David. All right. Well, thank you everyone for showing up, and we will see you next month.
Talk to them.
Thank you.
Enjoy the
Bye.
beautiful day today.